Hello.
And welcome to Makers.dev, episode number 101. Chris, can you tell me what 101 in binary would be if converted to decimal?
Yes. Let me think. 5, right?
Five is correct.
Yay.
5 is correct. And that puts you above most people that I went to college with who had an undergraduate in computer science. So good job.
That's funny.
I can't remember if I've told the story before, but before almost every class of my computer science degree, the first week of the class was spent relearning binary. And the first time I was like, oh, okay, little review. And the fifth time I was looking around the room like, I've learned this with all the people in the room currently taking notes. Like, what's going on?
To be fair, subtraction in binary is particularly difficult. I had to learn that like 3 times before I understood it.
Oh, you know what? I may have... Yeah, now that you're saying that, I may be due for a refresher on how to do subtraction in binary. Multiplication is also sort of tricky. Yeah, okay. Well, it's still a fun story for me to tell. How was your week? What'd you get up
to? Week has been busy because we were supposed to go up to Michigan for the Christmas holiday on Friday. Today is Tuesday, and there's a big old storm coming. And if we waited till Friday, we would slide off the road. And so we at least have to go Thursday, but Thursday's probably still too late because it's sort of starting on Thursday. So I think we're going to go on Wednesday, which means lots of rushing around, doing things we thought we had time to do, but we don't. So that's what I've been doing today. That and work. Work is going well. So I'm like 2 months in now or so. And there is a lot to learn like in any big company, I guess, but there's just also the particular job I'm doing. So developer relations is it's varied. There's lots and lots of different things that I need to be responsible for or need to be, keep tabs on. And so just learning what all those things are is a lot of work. But so far it's going well.
I'm reminded of the about once a year storms we've been having in Texas where for like 2 or 3 days the entire state just shuts down because nobody knows how to prepare for no one can drive on the roads. Nobody has the chains or anything else. And as a civilization, as a micro civilization, we are very unprepared for cold weather. That's a thing that confuses Texans very much. Well, in this one, like it's only we're going to Michigan. In Indiana, there's only supposed to be like an inch of snow or so, and in Michigan, it's 3 to 5 inches, which is bad, but not awful. But it's supposed to drop to like 0 degrees, I think, and it's supposed to be preceded by like a band of ice, and you never know how that is. It may be nothing, or it may be absolutely disaster. You can't travel. So, I think we're just gonna try to get in front of it. Dangerous. And then I'd love to dig more into Google stuff as much as you can say. It sounds like you've been with them for a couple months now. Sounds like most of the things that you've been doing have still been in orientation, but like you're starting to do some projects that are like actual work that you're doing. But that it's still very there's a lot to understand still. There's a lot to connect with. There's a like understanding your place in the organization. I think what I'm most curious about is like how would you compare with your recent experience of adapting to this, how do you compare bootstrapping working on your own versus working at a big company like Google? Pros and cons. What's your current snapshot of how you feel?
Oh, pros and cons. I thought you were going to just ask about the different work modes. Pros and cons are interesting. So pros for bootstrapping, pros for some people, maybe pros for me, is that I can hold the entire code base in my head. I can hold all of the, all the issues and marketing things I'm doing, and like everything sits in my head, and I hardly need like maybe I have a to-do list to keep track of things, but it's all in your head. With something like the size of Google, you can't possibly do that. And there are people who have lots of institutional kind of knowledge, like lots of background and stuff. But even still, there's like 1 million documents and 1 million like different like places that information is kept, and so you have to be a lot better at finding information, how to find information, which Google is actually really good at. I mean, you can imagine like Google is all about organizing information, so you better believe that their information is pretty well organized, but it's still a lot. And then like so I got a question today, and I had to like research for an hour about things because I don't, I wasn't there when the thing was built. And so now I got to go read about when it was built and when, why it exists this way and what it even is and what these 30 acronyms are. And so that's just very, very different. So, but the major pro is that I get paid. And that, let's face it, is the reason that people get jobs. So, yeah. Also, so working solo can be fun, but it can also be really lonely. Working I've enjoyed working on a team again because there are people there who are, working towards similar goals, right? And so you have some camaraderie where working solo, like we do this podcast because working solo can be, lonely or isolating. And that's the opposite basically at Google. There's unlimited number of people I could meet if I wanted. So, yeah.
Cool. The first point you said of being able to hold the entire code base, the entire company in your head is interesting because I don't know how to work on just a piece of a thing. My professional career has been defined by like working on things that I can hold entirely in my head, which limits the size of the things that I can build, right? But with software you can like the size, the capability of a tool that is small enough to fit in your head can be magnified. But of course at Google, my gosh, that's a big chunk of the economy. It would be impossible to do that. However, you're working specifically on the Google Photos team within a team where you have a subset of responsibility. What are your feelings towards like it's like the Spider-Man quote, with great power comes great responsibility. You have less power in that you're responsible for less of this code base, and also less responsibility. There's less things you have to be thinking about. You can just specialize at this one task. Is that easier because you can just focus, or is it harder because you still have to have a greater understanding of what you're doing, and that greater ecosystem is so much bigger? How do you think about that?
So it's different. And this is actually, I think, one place where levels comes into play at Google. So levels was a foreign concept to me just a little bit ago, but it's basically how they do, promotions, right? And so there's different levels from like, basically if you're fresh out of school, you'll be an L3. You can be below that if you're like an intern or whatever, but, and then it goes up from there where like so the CEO of Google is probably, he doesn't have a level, but it's probably something like an L11. I don't know what it is exactly, but yeah. And then director is around like L6, L7 can be, I think maybe L7 are directors. And so that's sort of the spread. And basically as you move up so as you go lower in that ladder, that's when you're focused on a very, very small section. As you move up that ladder, that's where your focus expands, and you have to be, even though you may be focused on a small section, you have to be cognizant of how that affects all the services it interacts with. So yes, I'm focused on the Google Photos API, but I have to be aware of like how all of our partners use it, how, like if anyone within Google is interacting with it. That's actually a different conversation for reasons I won't get into, but anyway, so like, and then how it comes across different teams, not just within Photos, but outside of Photos too. So there's like, I have responsibilities for the API outside of just the API, which is hard, right? Especially because I don't know all the details. And so like at some point you have to get really good at like saying, I know this part, and then there's like a wall here where I don't know it, but I know what I expect from the other side. And then if that doesn't happen, then I have to go dig deep into why that's not happening. So you sort of build up these like barriers to your knowledge, I think. And that's a skill I'm not very good at yet, but hopefully we'll get better. Yeah. Because I like knowing everything and I can't. So. Right.
Okay. Yeah. So the reason it's difficult for you is that your impulse is to understand the wall and then understand what's on the other side of the wall. But there are some hard walls that within this context, like, you can't.
I just don't have, not enough time in the world. Right.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because it's such a big problem. Have you hit yet? I don't know if you can talk about this, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. Have you hit like frustrating bureaucratic walls like that, where it's you see a strategic decision in the platform that you disagree with, and you'd like to push on that, but the answer is just like, because I said so?
Oh no, not because I said so. I'll answer generically, not specifically.
Okay.
Generically, you might be frustrated at a organization the size of Google when they do things that you think are kind of weird. But consider that they are trying to serve however many billion a significant fraction of the world
Right.
uses Google services, and so any little small change has a huge impact in terms of number of people, and so every change, every little bit has to be considered from 20 different angles. And so things that don't make sense at the surface often make sense after you hear the 200 hours of meetings that went behind the decision in order to consider everyone using it. I guess that's what I'll say. So there's no this is the way it is because it's the way it is.
Right.
There's a lot of discussion that might not make sense from the outside that makes sense once you hear what's going on.
Okay. I feel that. Specifically with Google Photos, it's interesting that that's the team that you landed on, because I have specific gripes with Google Photos that I understand there's probably that sort of 200 hour of meetings explanation for why it is the way it is. But come on, I'm trying to get this thing done. I want API access to be able to, change the album on my photos, or we'll get into another topic on that.
Unfortunately, all I can say is the official supported, the official lines, which are the supported use cases for the Google Photos API are, and then, list them on the page. That's what I can say.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, sounds like it's going really well overall. I'm definitely feeling the money benefit. I sure would like something like that. That'd be great. Especially with this FTX stuff. Yeah.
Any updates on that? Or same?
The most recent update that I've heard is that Sam Bankman-Fried has been arrested.
Yeah, I heard that.
And I think that's probably bad news for me, because that's indication of clear fraud and that the money is actually gone. And he had this line in interviews where he was saying that there actually is some solvency, and that, the BTX US has something like 90% of the funds that it should have. And so him getting arrested is probably an indication that the things he was saying might not be true.
There can be securities fraud and still money left. Those two things don't have to be mutually exclusive.
For sure. I think it's probably worse for me as an individual if he gets arrested, because
it at least means it's going to take a long time.
For sure, yeah. Although I saw an interesting analysis of this from CoffeeZilla, I think, is this new YouTube channel that has been around for a while that does this investigative journalism and stuff. And he was saying that it's unprecedented how quickly they moved. It took weeks, but on the scale of the government, weeks is extraordinarily fast.
Yeah.
And it was all done entirely in secret. 2 days before he got arrested, he was saying that he didn't think he was going to get arrested. And to be able to move with that swiftness, and there's a big burden of evidence that they have to be able to pile up, and they got it apparently. So
yeah. I wonder if did they in the CoffeeZilla thing? I'll have to go watch that. Did they say anything about? Usually when they move that quickly, it's because they've been doing pre-work for 2 years. So I wonder if they were onto him for years beforehand. That's
interesting. They didn't say that. I don't know.
Because you're right, that government usually takes a long time. Oh, or it could mean that they thought he was a significant flight risk, which my understanding is he was. He went to the Bahamas to try to get to a different country with non-extradition. And they got him before then. So
I think one of the explanations also for why they moved so swiftly is that the number in variety and total number of victims is gigantic, and includes the government, and includes a lot of really wealthy people who have a lot of political power. So he, if you're going to commit a crime, steal from poor people because it'll probably go much better for you. Not as many people with political power will care.
Then don't fly to somewhere with extradition that can take away your passport.
Go to Russia or something.
Russia is one. Argentina, they don't. Maybe
he should have hopped on a boat to Argentina or something.
They might not. They might not be one. I don't remember. There's a country in South America. I think it might be Argentina.
Where'd Snowden go? Didn't Snowden go to
Russia?
Go to Russia? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And he just got Russian citizenship too.
Interesting.
So, which means he had to pledge loyalty to Russia, which is interesting.
Huh. That is interesting. Yeah. Watch him get drafted for the Ukraine war.
I believe he's now eligible, although he's older. But
Oh man. Reality is so strange.
Yeah.
You, I think you're also working on the gravity waves competition with your new team who doesn't care about money. How's that going?
Yeah, that's going well. We are in the very last place that still has a gold medal on the public leaderboard. Cool. I think there will be a shakeup though, and so hopefully, like not a very big one, but enough that being in the last place of the gold medal is not a very comfortable place to be, because you can go down one place and then you'll lose your medal. So we still have ideas. We're working on those. I'm about to go away, so I'm going to try the Ngrok trick again. But if these storms, which have high winds, knock out the power at all, then my server goes offline and I can't I can't figure out how to get it to restart automatically. So I might try. I have a big old battery backup that I don't have it connected to.
Yeah.
But we're leaving tomorrow. I might try just plugging it in and see what happens.
I can already see what's going to happen immediately after this. You're going to be like messing around with the battery back, and your wife's going to be like, "What are you doing? We got to get ready for this trip." And you're like, "I am getting ready for the trip. What do you think I'm doing?"
Yeah, it's gonna probably light on fire when I'm gone or something.
Can you dig into specific tactics of interesting findings you may have had of how you're tackling this problem?
There's a few things that we haven't tried yet, so I can talk all about those if I want, because we haven't done them yet, but I think are interesting. One is, we're a little worried. So when you're worried about a shakeup, you're worried about something called domain shift, which means you have all this training data, but the test data might be slightly different in some strange ways. And I just ran across a lecture about how to deal with that in an unlabeled way. And so this kind of it's sort of like a GAN, which is interesting. It uses an adversarial training tactic. And I haven't done it before, and I don't know if it works or not, so we'll see. But it's, you basically, while you're training, you train the classifier, and then at the same time, you train a different thing that tries to get the distributions of your, basically your last layer to overlap. So if you can do that, if you can get your distributions of your last layer to overlap, that means that you've effectively solved for the distribution shift problem. And then if your classifier still outputs good results, that means that you've also solved for the classification case, which means...
Hold on, you've lost me.
I thought I might have. Okay. So say you have a bunch of data and the background is all red.
Okay.
And you have all your test data so that's your training data, and you know the labels for that. And then your test data is the same images, but the backgrounds are all blue.
Okay.
And you have no labels for that. If you just ran a simple classifier on that, it would be extremely easy to separate train and test, because it would just go on the background and say, is it red? Train. If it's blue, test. What you want though is you want to focus not on anything that's different between them. You just want to focus on the things that are the same. So in this case, it's the actual gravity wave signal. And if the noise, so in this case, we're worried about the noise having some properties that we're not aware of, we want it to ignore the noise. So what you could do is, while you're training the classifier on your training data, you can have basically switch between that and training to basically get your final output of the network, which is what the network, like after it's learned all its things, to not know the difference between the train and the test set. So in this red-blue example, it would have to learn to ignore the red and the blue and just focus on the foreground, for example.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Let me try to repeat that and see if I understand. If in a really simple version of this, let's say that like I'm trying to tell the color of a circle in the middle of the image, and each image also has a background color, and all of my training data has a red background color and then different colors of circles in the middle, and all my test data has a blue background color and the different color of circles in the middle. And I want to make sure that the network is going to ignore the background color and only focus on the color of the circle. So I could feed it some of the test data, and I'm making sure that it's not paying attention to the background color, but I'm not sure how I'm doing that.
Yeah. So you feed it a whole bunch of test data and a whole bunch of train data. Okay. And if you imagine that plotted like on 2-axis, then you might have a clump of train data here and a clump of test data here.
Yes.
And then what you do is your loss function is actually, you want those overlapped.
Okay. I want to make sure that the network can't tell the difference between the train data and the test data.
Exactly.
Okay. That's what you meant by overlapping. Yeah. Yes. Okay. I understand. Okay. Yeah. That sounds like a cool idea. Yeah. Oh, and I could see that being really important, because like if the gravity wave signals are coming from a different lab or something, they might look drastically different. It might be different in amplitude or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, the background noise especially might be what the background noise that what you want to ignore might be very, very different, and so you want to ignore that. And so yeah, this is a way to sort of automatically learn what to ignore, which is pretty cool. It also sounds very tricky to train for. Like I watched this whole lecture. It was an MIT lecture, and I understand the mechanics, but I also get the feeling that it might be really tricky. So it's something I'm gonna try, but if it takes more than a couple days, it's probably not worth it for this competition.
Okay. I wanted to ask you also what the input is to this. I know for audio, you frequently make it an image. Is that what you're doing for this?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. They actually already made it an image for you, and some people are actually trying to reverse that to get the original signal out. It's actually sort of difficult because to do that, you have to have all of the data, but because the way these labs work, they go offline for various reasons, like maintenance or whatever. And so like you have these gaps in the data, so you actually can't just easily reverse back out to the signal. So it's actually an interesting problem to solve there, is how do you get a signal out when you have gaps in the FFT? But yeah, they already converted it to an FFT for you.
Cool. I saw recently a version of GPT. I don't think that's accurate. It was some sort of a network where you could generate songs, but it didn't just directly generate the song. It generated the waveform, and then there's some other known process for going from the waveform to the song. So I thought that was really cool that like there is this core visual language of these AIs that they're able to understand.
Yeah, that's often how sound works, is you go to the FFT first, which is an image, and then you do whatever you want, and then you go back.
FFT is fast Fourier transform.
Fast Fourier transform, yeah.
Okay.
What we're using, the gravity wave, is actually SFT, which is short time Fourier transform or something. It's they break it up into windows, do an FFT just on the window, and then concatenate all these windows together. And some of the windows are missing, like if the detector was offline at that time. So
cool. I've watched several YouTube videos about fast Fourier transforms, and I feel like I sort of understand it, but I probably, if tested on it, I probably wouldn't. My understanding is it's like finding the constituent waves, base waves that make up a much more complicated signal. So if you have like a sine wave shifted in some way in frequency and stretched out, combined with a sine wave that was totally different, and then you're left with that complicated wave. A fast Fourier transform, a Fourier transform is a process of extracting the constituent waves, and then a fast Fourier transform is a shortcut where you find intersecting points that are common that don't need to be recalculated, and then
it's an approximation. Yeah, the fast Fourier transform is an approximation, which actually makes it tractable. Otherwise, it would take forever to calculate it.
Yep, that tracks. You're also working, I think, on the Santa competition, the non-AI competition. On how's that going?
Yeah, I'm running that in the background because that's like CPU only optimization stuff, and I have theoretically improved, but there's sort of two stages to that. One is like actually determining the path, and then the other is like calculating the robot arm path for it. And so I've theoretically improved my actual path thing, but I haven't actually tried to use the robot arm, partly because I know that it won't get me into the gold zone. Like it'll bump me up into the silver, but I'm like, what's the point? So, because it's kind of a lot of work to do the second part. And so unless I know what I want to do next, and it's basically like I got to set it up and then let it run for like 2 days. So probably do that while I'm gone. Yeah.
You, I think, need two more golds to be a grandmaster?
2 more golds. Yeah.
2 more.
Where I'm really hoping this gravity waves one gets one, but we're right on the edge, so I don't know. Santa, I don't think I'll get there because I don't know how the people at the top are doing that well. So unless they just have really big computers and they're running it 24 hours a day, which is possible.
Is there a prize to this one? I think you said there was a cash prize.
Yeah, 10 grand for the first top 5 people or something like that.
So from an individual strategy perspective, it probably makes more sense for you to not target ones with big cash prizes, because you don't care about the cash prize. What you do care about is the gold. A lot of other people would care about the cash prize. So
that's true. There's not that many to choose from though. I think there's a lot right now. There's like 7 open competitions or something, but I only feel like I have the skills for maybe 4 of them. And of those, I can only work on 1 or maybe 2 at a time. Sure. So it's sort of defined for me, outside of the cash prize part. So
sure. Yeah. I hope you get gold on this gravity one. I talked a little bit, just sort of spitballing what my rough strategy would be for the Santa one. I think you said that core of the problem that you've thought about so far is just like navigating on the map. You haven't thought about the robot arm. What's the rough strategy for finding the path through the image?
I have thought about the robot arm. It's just tricky because it gets hung up a lot. So the robot arm, there's like, 1 to the 36th or 10 to the 36th or something different configurations for certain things. And so it's like you only can do approximations for sure. For the path part, though, that's traveling salesman, which is a classic problem. And there are a variety of ways you can solve that. You can't solve it optimally for an image that big, but you can get approximations, and you can do things like chunk it, split it up into chunks and then try to solve for the chunks and then concatenate the chunks together. So there's a variety of options there. But in general, once you hit a certain point, you just have to let the thing run for a long, long time before you get to the next point. So you hit a it's not a local minima, but you hit diminishing returns relatively quickly. Yeah.
It's been a while since I've solved a good classic algorithm problem like that. Most of the coding that I do day to day is just connecting pipes between different services, and then it doesn't work the way it should, and then I'm banging my head against the wall trying to figure out how to actually make it work. Yeah, it would be fun to dig into a problem like that.
Yeah, that's why I like the kaggle competitions. I also like them because they're like 3 months long. Actually, so the Santa one's only like a month and a half or 2 months or something. And then at the end, you've learned a bunch, and then you can just throw away all your code. No one is ever going to run that again. So yeah, and maybe you copy and paste chunks for the next competition, but otherwise, I think there's a certain joy in writing code that is only going to be useful for a month and then going to be thrown away.
Yeah. The place where I love doing that the most is in board games. I think the most recent one that I did in that genre was trying to solve a game called Anagrams, which is alternate rules to the game Bananagrams, which is sort of a spin-off of Scrabble. And the core problem is, given a set of letters and a set of words that contain letters, find new words that you can make either from the free letters that are available or using a combination of whole words that are available on the board, rearranging the letters. But you have to use every letter from the word. So, oh gosh, something like, oh no. What's a word? I'm so bad at it is the reason why I try to cheat at it.
Do you have to rearrange the whole thing?
Yeah, so given a word, you can't just add s at the end of it because that's too trivial, or er because that's trivial. You would have to take the letters of the word and rearrange them in some meaningful way to make a new word. So the word her, H-E-R, I think 3 is the minimum number of words. If there was O-I-N-E just as free letters on the board, or maybe her and one as 2 separate words, and then also there was the letter I, you could rearrange those to form the word heroine. Would be an example solution of that. And that was a fun thing to code, and that was a long time ago, and I'm still really bad at the game, but if I can use my cheating program, I'm much better.
Yeah, I've solved a few games like that too. There was one particular puzzle that I solved that way that was very annoying, so I just wrote a thing to solve it. I've solved a couple word ones as well, like trying to find the most complete word list on the internet is interesting. Yeah, that's cool.
For stuff like that, it's easy because you can just use the Scrabble dictionary. There's in the rules, it's it has to be a word from this list.
I see.
I would love to talk about 2 big things that I did this last week. The first is backups, and the second is the video clipper went through a soft launch.
All right.
So let's talk about backups first because I want to.
Yeah.
There's no reason. It's listed first in my notes. So last week we were talking about how I've just been losing things and it sucks. And the most recent thing that I had lost was my email list. But then I got it back. Oh my gosh, I was so happy. But that put me in this frame of mind of just thinking, what else do I stand to lose doing this negative visualization of what other things in my life could I lose in the same sort of way? And I was a little bit horrified to come up with a really long list of my Dropbox account is not locally synced and hasn't been in a while. And if Dropbox announced tomorrow that, oh no, we have this massive data outage and all our data is gone, I would lose a lot of important stuff, and that would suck. Same thing for Google Drive. Google Photos we talked about last week. My email we talked about last week. And then all these application databases, like my database for File Inbox, both on Firebase and the legacy Postgres database. So I had just a super turbo day where I backed up, I think, 90% of these things and did it in a way that it's going to be really easy to keep them backed up. Nice. And I still have some things that I need to do to follow up on to make it more automatic, but I'm pretty happy. Like, you know, if there was a data outage right now, I would feel pretty safe, pretty well insured, and I have the opportunity to be doing even better improvements on this. So I wanted to just talk through my philosophy on this and how I did it, and I'd love if you poke holes in it or have suggestions of like how I could make it even better. So sure. My goal was for something to exist, if it's an important piece of information, I need it to exist on my local external hard drive, because if it's there, it also gets up to Backblaze. So even if there was a fire in my house, it's still in Backblaze. I can still get it back. If there's a data outage, the most likely case, I can just get it directly from my hard drive. And then from my hard drive also, it's easy to just back it up locally. So the solution for Dropbox and Google Drive were the same, and they were pretty straightforward. I just use a tool called rclone, RCLONE, that is phenomenal and free and lets you treat cloud services as if they were external servers. So I just linked Dropbox and Google Drive to this as sources, and I said rclone sync Dropbox with this local folder on my hard drive and let it run, and downloaded like I don't know, probably 100 gigabytes on Dropbox and maybe 20 on Google Drive, and then it was on my hard drive, and then I already have this Backblaze thing set up, so it is slurping those up. I think I still have something like half a terabyte to push up to Backblaze, so that feels good. It's not happening regularly, but that's okay, I think, because I'm not adding stuff to Dropbox and Google Drive regularly. So I think my SOP for this is just going to be once a month I run this script to resync it, and yeah, I have it locally, and it'll also be in Backblaze. Oh, my watch is, oh wow, it was listening to me for a while from regularly. Okay. It just responded, I'm sorry.
It's spying on us. As we're recording, I guess.
What are your thoughts on that first chunk of my new resilient life, backing up Dropbox and Google Drive?
Yeah, I think that's good. That's what like phone reminders are great for me. Like, you know, or calendar reminders. Set a reminder on the first of the month to press this button. You know. Yeah, I think that's fine. And I guess you said Dropbox wasn't syncing to your laptops. Or to your hard drive. Do you turn that off for some reason? Like automatic backup?
I don't have the app installed, and I haven't for a while, because I just don't need, you know, a lot of the files in Dropbox I don't need on my hard drive, and I don't want them on my hard drive.
You can set them to ignore.
I can, but the last time I tried to do that, it was really, really tedious. If I could just tell it, like, you know, here's my git ignore file for Dropbox, that would be much easier. But yeah. Yeah. And then also, like, there's stuff on Dropbox that, yeah. You know what? In thinking through this, maybe the solution is like, I need to clean off Dropbox. Stuff that's on there that I'm just sort of archiving maybe shouldn't be in Dropbox and should just be in this Backblaze thing and stored locally. Okay.
Yeah, but then if you have a fire and Backblaze goes down, what do you do? Like, there's all, you know, there's how many? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, can't you? So what I have in Dropbox, I have an archive folder which does not get synced, and then all my other folders are just around, and they do get synced.
I also have an archive folder, and that's the folder that I'm not wanting to do.
I think you can just ignore a whole folder.
Yeah. Okay.
But I guess you can't have, if you put like old projects in there, I don't think you can say like ignore any file called node modules.
Right, which is exactly what
you can do that.
That's exactly what I want to do. Maybe I need to rethink my whole strategy with this. I think I need to look critically at the files being stored in Dropbox. The stuff that I'm regularly accessing from Dropbox is like business stuff. Like once a month, Rachel goes in and pays my quarterly or monthly taxes, and then takes a screenshot and puts that in Dropbox, and then, you know, makes my tax form, I forgot what it's called, and like uploads that there. And then at the end of the year, when it's time to do taxes, I know where all those things are. That's like 80% of what I'm using Dropbox for right now. So maybe that's all Dropbox does for me right now. And okay. I've got some stuff to chew on there. The next thing, the thing that triggered all this is that my database for my email list wasn't getting backed up, which is just a SQL database that was being stored on the VPS. And then when the VPS went down, I had no access to it. So I went a little crazy on this one. I got a hosted SQL database from Google and turned on the backups of that. So I'm getting like nightly backups of that are automatic. And then I also made a script to do SQL dump which I think just exports like SQL commands, SQL dump to the same backup folder on my external hard drive. So now I have a local copy, which is also getting synced to Backblaze, and Google is also backing it up. So I have trouble thinking of a possible way that I could possibly lose this data again. Can you think of a way that this could fail?
Sure. I mean, you have a fire, Backblaze goes down, and you lose access to your Google account. How many nines do you want? No, I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
One thing that I was a little neurotic about in doing this is I really want to make sure that I actually am backing up the data. This was Patrick McKenzie's quote that you brought up last time, like, have you tested your backups? And I opened the SQL dump and just saw, like, I searched for an email address that I know should exist in there and found it. So I think I'm good.
Yeah.
I haven't like tried to restore a SQL database because I just don't use SQL a lot, and that would feel kind of tedious, but I'm pretty sure the data's all there.
One thing I just thought of is, so Backblaze is based on your hard drive backup. What if your hard drive gets corrupted, but in a way that it doesn't know it's corrupted?
Yeah, like a what's it?
Like a bitflips or something.
Yeah, but there's also an attack people do where they encrypt files on your hard drive and then
like one of those Bitcoin phishing attacks, or
right.
And then that gets backed up to Backblaze. Does Backblaze have a history of files?
They do have a history of files. So you can go to a specific point in time and ask for the files as they existed at that time, which is resilient to that. But I'd love to have protection against that wasn't dependent on Backblaze. So maybe I have two different hard drives and only one of them is connected at a time. But then how would I detect? Maybe I have a script that goes through and like checks the checksums or looks at a diff of the two hard drives as I swap them out. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Okay. Well, guess it's fine then. The next big category was stuff on Firebase, and I found a fantastic third-party script called Firebase Export Firestore Export that takes your authenticated data for your Firebase document or for your Firebase account and exports your entire Firestore document as a giant JSON file. So I wrote a script to go through every single project I care about, which was like 20 projects. There's a lot of these little tiny things that I started that still have data on them. Like at one point I made a link like read later list for myself and then just forgot about it, but there's still like 100 links on here that are interesting that I wrote notes about. So that's exported now, and that would have been tragic if I had lost all that in one go, and now I have a backup of it, which is very nice.
The link file you forgot about and have never looked at.
Yeah, like I don't know.
To be fair, I have one too that has probably 1,000 links on it that I'm probably never going to look at.
That's good.
But it'd be bad if I lost it.
I wrote notes about it. I don't know. There's just something. Yeah. I don't like losing data. I really like. Yeah. I don't know. Sure. I might be a digital hoarder, but I really like just having this stuff. And it's so cheap. Like you get a hard drive for $100, I can store terabytes of stuff. And so I want to keep stuff on it. And that's also for like active projects for Firebase and the video clipper. So even if there's some catastrophic bug and I delete the table that deletes everyone's clip metadata and the titles, I have a snapshot of that from a few days ago, and I plan to run that once a month. And for projects that are being actively edited that I would like a little bit more reassurance of, I found scripts to automatically take snapshots of Firestore databases and put them in Google Cloud Storage. So, and then that can run as frequently as you want. I'll probably do that like once a day or once every 2 days. Haven't done that part yet, but I only need to do that for these 2 projects that are like active and have other users. 3, because I also run my time tracker on there. So I'd want to do it with my time tracker. Thoughts on my Firebase?
No, that sounds pretty good. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Here's a question I have on that though. I don't currently know how to think about the Google Cloud Storage buckets that are in these projects. So like for File Inbox, how important is it that I also keep a backup of the files that people were sent? And for the Video Clipper, how important is it that I also keep a backup of all the source video files that people have uploaded? If I lost those, it would feel really bad, because I like the recovery path to that then would be you need to re-upload your videos for each project. Like I have the metadata, but I don't have the data. Actually, you know what? Here's what I want to do. I want to just back those up to another cloud provider. I don't think I care about it enough to have it be in my crazy rigorous system, but I think I do want it like synced to maybe B2 or maybe like cold line storage on S3 or something that's on a different cloud provider.
Yeah, I would. And it can be extremely painful to get it out of that. I think that's okay, because that's still better than not having the file at all. Like for File Inbox, I'm thinking about like, what if people are using File Inbox like people use Dropbox? Like they upload it and then expect it to be there. Although you auto delete files, don't you? Anyway?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so they wouldn't do that. Never mind.
For the most recent like 30 or 60 days of files, I keep those around, because I frequently have people who are like, oh, I thought I was syncing to this place, but it wasn't actually. And can you save the day and get my files back? And I will say, yes, I can.
Yeah. I would save it, because even if it's really painful, it's still better than not having them, I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
That is helpful. GCS to B2 or AWS cold line. Okay. And then the last category of things, I think the best tactic is to just use takeout. So like for Google stuff, for Twitter stuff, for Facebook stuff, going through once a month. And I don't know if I'm going to do this once a month. I'd like to be doing it once a month, going through and like checking out all of my data. I was surprised to see in Google Photos, oh, this was interesting. On rClone, one of the sources on rClone is Google Photos, so they can do this incremental like syncing. I don't know how they're doing that though, because that's not like in the official API. But it doesn't get the full resolution photos, and importantly, it doesn't include the location metadata, which I want. It's important for me that I just have all the data. So for Google Photos in particular, I might do some sort of a hybrid of like, my true backup of this is the takeout, but then I'm also taking these incremental snapshots, so that at worst I lose the metadata and full quality of the last month of photos I've taken, and then I have like the true backup of all the original files. Same with Twitter, like all my tweets now are backed up. Facebook, all my Facebook data. Oh, I ordered the takeout, but I haven't actually downloaded it. Oh, and the same for Google. I haven't actually downloaded those, but I ordered it. It takes like days for them to like compile all the data.
It's a lot of data. Yeah.
True. What are your thoughts on the third category of the takeout services?
Yeah. Twitter is an interesting one, because until recently I was like, nah, Twitter is not going to go down, whatever.
Right.
But who knows? I might want to do Twitter. Yeah, I'll think about that. For Google Photos, the official way to get all your photos is to use Google Takeout. That's what I have to say about that.
Okay, you corporate shill.
Yeah, it's now my job to be a corporate shill. Great. Yeah, but honestly, that it is the way that you're like it is the officially supported way that you're supposed to get, your data back.
Which it's fine, especially like what a valuable service they're providing, that like I just don't have to think about it and all my photos just show up magically, and I don't pay for it. I don't understand how you're making money from this.
Well, there is what can I say publicly? Yeah, it used to be that it was totally free. They changed that now, and so you have limited storage. So you have to sign up for Google One if you want.
Oh, actually, yes, I'm a paying customer of Google One. Okay, yeah, I guess you're getting some money from me then.
There you go.
All right, yeah, all right. Yeah. It's like $100 a year or something. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, it's not that much for how much data it allows you to store.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah,
that's cool. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I altogether feel much safer. I feel like I'm much more prepared for the next data outage of something that happens. I think it would still be Gmail also is one I didn't make a note of. I found a tool called Gmail.
You can use Takeout for that too, right?
I can, and there's a incremental backup tool called Gmail Sync or something. There used to be one written by Google, but it hasn't been updated in like 10 years. So this one I think just syncs over IMAP and makes these iBox or it's a weird file format,
Yeah.
but it's a standard format apparently of ways that mailboxes are archived and compressed and everything else. So I haven't tested those. I'd like to test. I'd like to test those. Test Gmail backup. But that's incremental, which is better. So once a month, that's just part of my scripts of the backup scripts that are going to download this insane amount of data and then back it up. Yeah. Anything I'm forgetting? Data that I would have out there in the ether that I would be sad
do you
if I lost.
have passwords and or private certs or like Bitcoin certs or something?
Oh yeah, passwords. My primary password manager is in Chrome. Oh, and I have one for Mac OS also. Ooh, I need to back up.
I would encrypt that and store that somewhere.
Passwords. Yeah, so in Chrome you can export just I think it's like a CSV file of all your passwords. And I do want to encrypt those. How would you encrypt that? What's a good way to?
There are various scripts that will encrypt it. I know there's a Ruby library that you can encrypt it with, like you can encrypt things with a password, like with real encryption. So you still need a password, but it can be a single password to encrypt all your things.
Okay. Yeah, that's unencrypted right now, which would be very bad if someone got control of my hard drive. Okay, yeah, I'll encrypt that. Cool. And then macOS passwords, yeah, I also need to do that. Anything else?
Sounds pretty good. Trying to think. Yeah, sounds pretty good.
Cool. All right. I'll be referencing this episode the next time I have a dude, where's my episode that involves digital data. I'm like, Chris, that was your opportunity. You could have reminded me to back up whatever. My contacts, Chris. You didn't think about my contacts.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was in Google Takeout. Well, it is in Google Takeout. That's fine.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Second and last thing that I would like to talk about. I soft launched the Video Clipper, which is a huge milestone for me. I'm very excited. Soft launch meaning like there's a lot of rough edges. There's a lot of right now. There's this bug where when you try to export a video, there's just 6 seconds of silence at the end. It's just 6 seconds, and the progress bar is still going. I don't know why. It happens only when I do it from the website, not when I do it remote on my local computer.
Fantastic.
And that's frustrating. Yep. Also,
FFmpeg clip to the rescue. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it has something to do with how FFmpeg is. I don't understand why it would be different on my local computer though, because it should be the same FFmpeg. I think it might be like slightly different compiled versions or something that treat that duration differently. But I'll figure it out. So what you can do today on the Video Clipper is sign up, although there's not a sign up button on the homepage. You have to go through like a tweet or the launch email that I did. You can sign up for an account, you can upload a video, it gets transcribed. It doesn't show you any sort of a loading animation that it's being transcribed, but it's being transcribed, so that's another rough edge. You can highlight a clip, you can title it, you can download it, and you can't theme it yet, you can't upload custom fonts, and the clip that you download is watermarked. But you can do the thing that it's supposed to be doing. So I launched it, and I had a fair number of people sign up for it. I think I don't know, like a dozen-ish people. I don't have good numbers on it. And people are talking about it on Twitter. I had one person say, when can I pay you money to remove the watermark? Because I uploaded a video that I want clips of and made a bunch of clips. And, the thing was really easy. So, yeah.
That sounds like the next feature.
Yeah, it does. It sure does. And it is. Yes. That's what I was working on yesterday. Today's a marketing day, so that's also what I'll work on tomorrow. And then hopefully tomorrow I get my first sweet SaaS dollars from this thing. That'll be
awesome.
Exciting. Yeah, I'm excited. I made the Stripe account. I did most of the integration with Firebase. It's not working right now, and I don't know why, but it'll work tomorrow. I want to talk also about on the day I was having a really rough day the day after we recorded the podcast where I was working on this, but I just felt kind of overwhelmed of there's so many things to do and I don't quite know what to focus on, and I know that I'd like to have by the 26th a thing that people can sign up for and pay me money for. That's my goal. But I'm the path there feels very unclear, and I found myself falling down these rabbit holes of maybe I should redo the interface so that the layout is better and you can scroll the clips. And I had a conversation with our mutual friend Shai Schechter, who asked me the question, why can't you ship today? And that was such a nice clarifying question, because it just zoomed me in on, well, this thing is broken, but I don't need to fix it. I can just hide it from the interface. And this other thing is broken, but that doesn't really matter. And I think it ended up being like 3 actual things that I needed to do. And then half of the work was just write the tweet, write the email, get my email system set up again with the emails imported and stuff. And then I launched, not that day, but the next day, because there was another bug that I needed to fix. But yeah, that was the question that enabled me to be able to ship it. So that felt really good. And it's following this mantra of like, I need to ship before I feel like I'm ready. And if I ship when I feel like I'm ready, I have waited too long, and I need to be doing like the marketing and the product development at the same time. So yeah, I feel like I'm embodying and living that. So that felt good.
Yeah. What I'd say to that is probably very similar, which is, well, first of all, you said December 26th, which is the day after Christmas. No one is going to be paying for SaaS the day after Christmas.
That's correct.
And you should take a break too. So that's the
Christmas morning. I'm going to be there on my laptop, like furiously trying. Yeah.
So that's first. Second, yeah, like it can be overwhelming to think like, how will I get people to sign up for this, and I have to pay, and I have to have documentation, and I have to have whatever. Right now you have someone who said, I want to pay you to remove watermarks. So you should make it possible for that person to pay you to remove watermarks.
Yes.
If that is a link to a dedicated Stripe page for that person, that's how it works. So just break it up into chunks like that. Like,
Yeah, I thought about doing that and just sending them like a Stripe payment link or something, but I think it would actually be easier for me just to finish the integration, because I've done it before. Like I'm just copying code from other projects, and it's then I'm not going to have to go through the work of like linking their account with the way that it's going to work in the future. Yeah,
I think so too. What you could definitely skip out on is probably all the marketing copy and all the explanation copy that goes around all that. You can basically like go to this page, click this button, and you will be able to sign up. And then later you can fill out all the documentation or like marketing copy.
Yeah, this is just going to be like a link in the user drop down, like in the drop down right now where there's a log out button, there's going to be another drop down that's like billing, and that's just going to take you to the Stripe page that you can sign up for a plan. The Stripe checkout stuff, by the way, so nice. They do everything for you. I think they're charging me more, but I think I don't care. So that feels good.
Yeah,
it's nice that they just like take care of it.
Yeah, is that is so much better, because you don't. It's like 10 pages of 10 like screens that you don't have to write, including things like anything involving credit cards, which is always difficult.
They do the invoices. They handle all the logic of like switching plans, canceling plans. If you cancel, they even collect the reason why you canceled. It's I don't want to calculate how much money I'm going to be paying them per month, because that might make me want to code my own thing. And from a business perspective, it just makes so much sense. It's a single thing that I integrate once, and then I just don't have to think about billing. Right
now it's 0. So if it ever becomes, $20K a month, then you can calculate it, and then you can be sad and redo it. But yeah, for right now, ton of sense.
For sure. Makes sense. What else do I want to talk about? The email and the tweet, next up is Stripe payments. Oh, there's 2 new marketing things that I would just like to bounce off of you. The first is affiliate marketing. This is a channel that Dave Sedia of Recut is using. Are you familiar with Recut?
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Dave. For listeners who aren't, Recut is a fantastic native app for macOS and Windows and maybe Linux, where you import your video and it can trim out all the silence in like a single click. And he has really nice fine-grained customized tools of, how much buffer do you want on each side? Do you want it to be it's super cut so it feels like this TikTok-y thing, or do you want just major gaps of silence to be taken out? And then you can export that as to your full tool chain of, if you're going to Final Cut Pro after that or something, he can export a Final Cut Pro project for you. And so he has been experimenting with affiliate marketing, which is great for that audience of video creators, because one of their main income streams is affiliate marketing. That's something that they talk about in Ali Bell's Part-Time YouTuber Academy, of ways that you can monetize your channel. So I was thinking, and I've talked with him about this, like we could just share affiliates. Like anyone who's an affiliate for me, it would also make sense for them to be an affiliate for him, and vice versa. And because of the nature of who the customers are for each of these products, they are people who are influencers who are getting out there and telling people about new stuff and new tools. So I think it would make sense for them to do. And I reread the affiliate marketing chapter of, oh my gosh, what's the name of the book? It's Traction. Yeah, Traction. Yes, thank you. And it talks about these platforms that you can go on, like Commission Junction and different things that you can integrate with, but also that you can just make your own affiliate platform. And some of the platforms to buy into cost like $2,000 to be approved as a seller, which was interesting. Two-pronged question. First prong is, what do you think of this as a channel for me? And the second prong is, do you know anything about actually implementing a commission system? Is there a platform in particular that you like, or does it make sense just to roll my own?
Yeah, I think this could be a great channel. I think it doesn't make a ton of sense to spend time on this until you have your own like sales funnel dialed in a little bit. Like until you, like, affiliates are great at getting the word out and sending people into existing funnels, as far as I understand. But like if your website can't sell your service yet, then it's a little too early to think about it, I think.
Okay.
That's my feeling. I could be totally wrong. The other thing I know is, I think it was Nathan Barry who talked about affiliates and basically said it's harder than you expect. There are so many problems with affiliates that you have to think about. So I would maybe go find interviews where he talked about it. Maybe it wasn't him. I'd have to think about it. The other person who I know does stuff with affiliates is, oh shoot, can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
My browser just, okay, I went to Twitter to search, and my browser just beach balled, which is something it does sometimes. Yeah, awesome. Anyway, I'm back. So Lewis from Sparkloop, I think that's the name. He does affiliates for newsletters, I think, and he has talked about affiliates, or it might be someone to reach out to ask about affiliates. Okay. I probably know more people, but I'll have to do research, and my browser's not happy, so I'll do that later. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'll check out Nathan Barry on affiliates and Lewis from Sparkloop. And that makes sense to me too, that it doesn't quite make sense to do affiliates until I have an actual sale. Like, don't do affiliates before people can pay me money.
Right.
Because why would someone want to be an affiliate? I'm trying to think though, like, what's the earliest I could possibly do this? And I'm thinking that as soon as I have a sign up flow, so people can like land on my site, they can sign up for an account, they can try out the product, they can upload their own video, they can make clips, they can export the clips, and then they can see the value that they would be getting if they paid me money, which is taken off the watermark. And then they can pay me money through the Stripe thing. That feels like enough of a sales funnel that I could go forward with affiliate marketing. So this could potentially be something that I do as soon as I get the Stripe integration done.
I think so. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I think that might be what I do. Second marketing channel, and the last thing I want to talk about, is sort of a mix of cold outreach and viral marketing, if I'm using the terms from Traction, which is taking long popular videos from existing creators that I think would be a good fit for the video clipper, and making clips from their video that are pre-themed. Like, I go through the work of theming them, importing the font, matching the color, and then posting them on Twitter. There's a recent video that just came out that I think is perfect for this, that I'm going through this process right now. It's an interview by Arvid Kahl, interviewing Sahil from Gumroad, talking about Gumroad's recent price increase, which is that's a viral, interesting topic on Twitter right now. And it's a hour-long video or something that he posted that has gotten a ton of engagement, which is surprising to me because, my gosh, it's an hour-long video. Wouldn't it be great if there were some short clips that you could just like do? So here's the thing that I would like help thinking through is, like, I imported Arvid's font from his website, and I'm copying the colors of his brand colors and things. And so I have this template that I can make good looking clips from him. But I'm not sure. So I have like a dozen of these now that I think are pretty good clips. How might I engage with the original post in a way that is going to what's my goal here? Maximize like awareness of the video clipper and specifically get Arvid interested in using it as a customer. I could like retweet it. I could reply within the thread. I could do all 12 clips. I could do just like 1 or 2 of the best ones that I've done. I could post it on multiple different networks. I could like be posting this on TikTok and YouTube also. I could private message them to Arvid and be like, hey, I made these for you. Would you like to sign up for an account so you can download them? How would you be approaching that?
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot to talk about here, and we don't have much time left. So maybe I think about it and talk about it next time. But
okay. I
Arvid
need to do this like right now. So
Arvid is someone you can totally reach out to on Twitter. He will he'll probably respond. If not, then you could actually like he's super responsive, and so I would try to talk to him on Twitter. It'll be different for different creators. Some creators will be like, "Don't use my content. What are you doing?" And like tell you like go away. Some creators won't respond at all. Some creators will probably be happy that you do it. And so it's really probably different for each creator, how it would work. I kind of did this accidentally once when I was using Adobe Animator, I think, and I was like just testing out different characters, and I clipped a podcast episode between Rob Walling and who's the indie hackers guy?
Cortland Allen?
Cortland Allen, yeah. Between Rob Walling and Cortland Allen. And I made characters for them, animated characters, and I made them like moving their things. And I just tweeted it. I was like, here's a neat clip. And I tweeted it and tagged both of them. And they both responded, and they were like, hey, this is cool. And on Twitter, and that got some engagement. So, I don't know. Like, if that was you, then some creators will probably just retweet your thing, and they'll get some engagement. So you could try that. But
cool.
For this first one, I'd reach out to Arvid, I guess. Maybe.
Okay. And that's the first step. I feel like I just want to like tweet clips of it first.
Yes. Or you could just tweet it from your personal account, because this is something that you followed, you listened to, you are probably going to tweet about anyway. And so it's totally, I think, cool to clip it and tweet it. If you were going to like clip some totally random YouTube account or something, that's when it doesn't make any sense, I think, for you to tweet it from your personal account.
Yeah, if it's like a basket weaving podcast or something, then like, okay.
I don't know. More to think about. Yeah, but
would it be too much to post like every single one of these 12 clips? That feels like a lot, right?
Yeah,
like,
I wouldn't do that.
I think that's something Arvid would do from his channel, and maybe like drip a few of them out a day or something.
Yeah, I would pick one, whatever is most topical. Like him, Alexa Hill talking about the price increase, and then I would do that one.
Okay.
And have it watermarked. That's what I do.
Yes. Yeah. All these are watermarked. Cool. Okay. I think that's what I'll do then. Okay. I think I'll post like 1, maybe 2 of what I think are the best, most engaging ones.
Yeah.
And then I'll privately message Arvin and be like, hey, I also have all these, and I would I've already set up your account for you with your branding. If you'd like to do this more with more of your podcasts, like here's the link where you can sign up, and all. And in your account that you sign up for, you will immediately have access to this video with the clips that I've already defined. Okay, that feels good. Cool. Something I love about this project, the video clipper, in my life is I have so many more ideas for marketing than I did with File Inbox. File Inbox, I felt like I've just been stalled forever.
Yeah, I can feel
and
that,
this, I'm like, I could do, affiliate marketing. I could do, this cold outreach thing. I can do SEO. I can do ads. I can do Reddit ads, and I can do conferences. And it feels much more exciting and actionable.
Yeah.
Chris,
just try stuff. Yeah. Go for it.
I will. I'll just try stuff. And until I try more stuff, I don't know how to do the transition now. I said your name, which was the start of the end.
I know. And I started speaking before you said my name. All right, go ahead.
Well, Chris, that's all I got.
That's all I got too.
Then I'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.